Glenn Vaughan, Chief Executive of the British Chamber of Commerce in Belgium. Today, Theresa May triggered Article 50. What will that mean for British business in Belgium?
In Belgium and in many other countries in the EU, it's going to be a really important process. It has the potential to cause a lot of difficulties, and we need to find the best way to get the best agreement for all of the parties concerned. We employ millions of people in the UK, but we also employ millions of people across the rest of the European Union. So we know that what's really important is the future success of Europe overall, and that needs a deal that's good for everybody.
What are the businesses that are part of the Chamber of Commerce? What are they saying to you when you meet with them?
They're saying to us that this is an incredibly important process for them. It's very significant for their businesses. And they're telling us about a lot of the practicalities. This is going to be an enormously complex process. And that's why we're looking at the practicalities. We want to make sure that the parties are really well informed on both sides about the implications and what they need to deliver out of this negotiation. And so we're talking to them about the big issues like trade and investment, labour markets, skills, innovation, technology, and so on, and the practical things that they need to do to make sure that we get a continuing seamless relationship between the UK and the EU.
The UK government appeared to be choosing what is described as, by some, as a hard Brexit, where we're outside the single market, outside the customs union. We're hearing a lot of anxiety from business. Do you think that the government will be able to maintain this quite hard line?
Well, certainly what businesses are telling us is that these things are really impactful on their operations. They're incredibly important for their future investment, employment, and so on. What we're telling the government and indeed our partners here in the rest of the European Union are the things that they need to deliver out of that negotiating process in order to achieve the best deal for all parties and the best outcome for citizens and the economy. And so that's where we're coming up with the practical issues, and we're talking to all of the parties about that. But one of the big issues is the complexity of this process and how long it will take to deliver. And that means, in particular, when we're looking at the 2 years that this process initially needs to take, we're very clear that a final arrangement is not going to be delivered within 2 years. And that's very important for business because they need to plan. Just like people need to plan their lives, businesses need to plan. So if we're thinking about continuity, we need to be thinking as early as possible in the process about how we're going to transition from where we are now to a future arrangement. How do we implement that stuff?
And how long do you think that transitional period would be? Will it be a period of 5 years, 10 years?
We know that some things could be done quite quickly, and we know that the UK government would like to progress as soon as possible. I think that the answer is that there are some things can be done soon, other things are going to take much longer if we're going to have a smooth process. We understand here in our work with the European institutions in Brussels just how complex a process building and creating the single market over these many years has been. So we know that that's not straightforward, and we know that the negotiations will be, particularly over the details, are going to take some time. I don't know how long it will take, but I think that we need to be prepared to spend as much time as is required in order to get that seamless transition that we all want to see.
The Leave side promised terrific benefits from leaving the EU. What is a positive spin on this exit? Do you think that business can thrive and, in fact, do a good deal better outside the EU?
Business will adjust. That's the simple answer. Businesses will adjust to the situation that's in front of them, the environment, and so on. We were fairly clear before the process that there were important risks in leaving the EU, important risks for investment, jobs, and many other important issues too. We are going to do our best to deal with it. Businesses will innovate. They'll think creatively about how they operate. That's their job. That's their job day by day. So they will get on with it. We know that there are going to be some things that are going to be less good in terms of operations than they are currently. If that's how it ends up, there we are, we'll deal with it.
You work with a number of other Chamber of Commerce in Brussels from across Europe. What are they saying to you?
There's a surprising amount of commonality between the business representations from across Europe on this issue. None of us actually wanted to see this happen, but we're all very clear that Europe as a whole can't afford to trip up now. We need to be moving forward. We need to be doing the things that are going to make the economy stronger over these next years. So we need to deal with this and we need to get them the best agreement possible for all of the parties. And we've been talking to our friends in, for example, the German Chamber of Commerce. We're also in touch with many other business representations from around the EU. That's a very common message. Other countries do consider that, that they are obviously considering the position for their own economy. But we're all very clear that the overall success of Europe is our common goal.